The scenic foothills of the eastern Sierra Nevada mountains offer a tranquil escape from the hurried pace of everyday life. There's a peacefulness here that encourages visitors to slow down and reflect on the unspoiled beauty that captivates visitors from near and far. Now, thanks to a gift from a generous benefactor and an enduring commitment from the Diocese of Fresno and its parishioners, young people of faith have a place of their own here to gather, learn, and grow, surrounded by the quiet serenity of nature.
When the Diocese of Monterey-Fresno was established in the early 30s, a young woman, a Carmelite sister who actually died at 23 years old, was being canonized. Her name was Teresa of Lisieux, or as we know her, Teresa the Little Flower. Because of our diocese coinciding with her canonization, the request was made and granted that she be our patroness for our Diocese of Fresno. We're the first diocese in the world to have Teresa of Lisieux as her patroness. Within 5 years, a summer camp was established on the banks of Bass Lake, and so it was named after her, Camp Santa Teresita. Santa Teresita is Spanish for Little St. Therese. And then that camp closed in 1969. For the last 40-some years, we have been dreaming about and preparing for and finally building a center for young people. Father Jerry Northrup, who worked for years at Camp Santa Teresita, suggested that we carry that name over to the new site, and that just seemed perfect, and that's how Santa Teresita got her name here. In the days of the Franciscans, the property was given as a gift by Ollie Craig, who owned the Craig estate here, which is area throughout our canyon, and she donated it to the Franciscans initially for a youth center for some activity for young people. When the Diocese of Fresno purchased the place, we were able to move and act on that, and what you see is the result of that action. Well, we find ourselves at about 1,200 feet in elevation, up to about 1,500 feet in elevation. It's grasslands area, it's rolling foothills in the major uplift of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Straight east of us is Sequoia National Park, and then all the way through to the other side is the Whitney Range, and the highest mountain in the continental United States. So we're on the west side of that, and we are on the edge of the town of Three Rivers, a community that was developed and built for ranching initially, and then over a period of time became an artist colony and a place for people for recreational purposes. Well, we're on a beautiful piece of property, about 25 acres of classic and pristine blue oak woodlands, and with many other different types of trees as well. And the buildings, as you see, have all been built within the context of that beautiful woodlands. And we used design build to build it so that we were able to work where the open areas were and have the least amount of impact on the natural setting where we are. One of the advantages of living here is that we are right in the midst of the nature that surrounds us, and it really is unspoiled for all practical purposes. And since the national park borders us, we have all the wildlife that the national park has that come and visit us here throughout the year. Also, we're on a natural flyway. We're a migratory flyway. So many of the birds that are traveling back and forth from north to south come through our area as well. So one of the advantages of being here is nature itself and the variety of animals and things like that we get to see.
The uniqueness of the physical space is one is the beauty of the site, being here at the foothills, the Sequoia National Forest. It's an amazing place to be, so you have a beautiful atmosphere. But you also have the building space to create. I think a lot of the spaces here, yes, they're buildings, yes, they're structures, but we've designed them so that in a way you can invent and create it as you need to. And think that's really important for youth work, to be able to take an empty space and really design it, and create it, and set it up so that your young people can maximize their experience. So we're able to afford a lot of those different spaces while being nestled here in the beautiful mountain atmosphere, while having also space to reflect. I think when young people come up, they want to have an experience, our ministers and leaders want them to have an experience. A big part of that is reflection, the downtime, the quiet time, the peaceful inner sort of tranquility that you want to gain. This sacred space really does give you that opportunity. What makes this place special for a young person, it has many layers, but it really is sacred space. If you look at the environment, if you look at what we're trying to hold together in the beauty of it, the availability of it, and the purpose of it, I think when you look at all those combinations and a young person then is able to have access to it and be here with that, I think it provides for an opportunity for an amazing experience.
What I love about Santa Teresita is that not only is nature alive there and all of God's creation, but the kids seem to come alive. Every time we're there, their smiles brighten up. They get so excited about helping out, and you would think that, wow, kids are willing to work and with smiles on their face. And I really think it is God's love that surrounds them and brings that joy out of their hearts.
You can see it, like I said, you can see it in their faces. They stop. Everything stops for them. Because I tell them, first listen to the air, and listen to what's God's. Listen to God's creatures. Listen to the birds. Listen to what's around you. And from that point, I'll start a slow meditation, because you really see they're really into their faith, into being with that sense of being with God at that point. It's a beautiful sight to see.
One of the things that is an experience in a place like this retreat center will always be the natural beauty of the things that surround us, and the wonder and awe at so many things that are in a way not part of their everyday ordinary life, but which could very well be the really real. And so we who live in so many artificial ways in life have an opportunity to come to a different place and to have a different experience of life. The word retreat sometimes sounds like you're running away from something. Rather, here we're not so much running away, but we're running to an environment that opens us up to different dimensions of our life and makes God's presence more accessible to us. It's also a special environment, different from everything that we're used to in life, and made purposely so that we can come away and come out of our ordinary lived experience for still a deeper experience and a unique experience that's not likely to happen unless we put ourselves in a position for that to happen. And that doesn't mean that we'll always be visited by God, but when we put ourselves in a place where we're more likely to have an encounter with God, chances of that will be far increased. We offer opportunities here for individuals and for groups of youth to come and to join us. They can come from all kinds of different areas and backgrounds. We welcome all of our Catholic kids, whether that's through the Catholic school system or through the parishes, youth clubs and ministries, prayer groups. We welcome interfaith community, and we really are and always have been a crossroads where people of all different denominations and faith backgrounds can come together for a special encounter with God. And we have many, many options and possibilities for that. We are able to host up to 120 young people overnight along with their adult chaperones. We have a marvelous kitchen and hall setting for them. We have meeting rooms as well as a recreation center so that we can address all the needs that they have, body, mind, and spirit.
The reality is that groups come up here, they look at it in a way as, yes, a beautiful sacred space, but yes, a blank slate where they get to paint their picture of how they want their experience to go. So that even when it comes to liturgies, there was an amazing time when we had a youth group here who actually had Mass right here on the steps, right here on the steps behind me. And it was a beautiful day. The way the steps are designed, you're able to set up chairs and really look down in sort of an amphitheater style. But also during Mass, the birds were flying and a family of deer approached. And so you got to really see that beautiful mixture of nature, of the physical site, but then placing the context of our beautiful liturgy and our young people within that to experience that.
A number of very important values were considered from the very, very beginning and really drove the way the youth center was developed. Probably the most important value of all was safe environment. We have a great commitment to safe environment for the Diocese of Fresno, and so all the buildings were built and the grounds actually laid out with that in mind to provide security and safety for all of the young people who come here, as well as security and safety and accountability for all of our adults. And so the interiors were designed for that purpose. And even the external grounds, although you may not be able to recognize them, have all been, in a sense, laid out with safe environment in mind so that there would be best possible safety for young people. Also, we were very interested in honoring nature and treating nature as a person. You know, our Catholic social teaching tells us that nature is a person as well, with duties and rights and dignity. And so we entered into a conversation very, very early with nature. And we spoke to her about our dreams for a youth center. And you could say that nature said back to us, well, that sounds like a wonderful idea. I love young people. And I have this beautiful setting, and I give you everything that you see here for your youth. And you'll notice that I have some wide and open areas. And it would be marvelous if you could utilize those areas for your youth. We have 2,400 blue oaks on this property that we put on our site plan with a laser. And then we set about working so that we would have the least impact on them as possible as we built these buildings. And to our best recollection, probably about 32 trees had to be removed in order for this entire complex to be built, which is 0.1% of all of those. And so the end result looks like that we are in great harmony with the nature that surrounds us, and we hope that we'll always will be, and that we'll always be able to honor nature, so that those who come here get to meet her and to see what a beautiful person she is. This is a perfect setting for a group such as that, as well as a group of kids who have never been to the mountains and have never had the opportunity to go away for anything in an organized way. This would be a great place for them to come and join us. We'll be able to meet their needs for overnight and for food and for a great safe setting for them to enjoy the programs that they come for. There are 2 dormitories. We call them casas, or residence buildings. Each of them really contain 2 dormitories, one for boys and one for girls. And for each dormitory there is a restroom and shower. So there's also a chaperone room in each of these buildings that can right now host up to 5 adults, each with their own bathroom, and then also a window into the dorm section itself so that there is visibility and accountability going on both between the young people and the adults who are taking care of them. There is also one room in each of the dorms. We call it the counselor's room. It's the only room that connects both sides, so that overnight an individual person could be in the counselor's room and have total visible access to who comes and who goes. That allows for real good accountability and allows more chaperones to get a good night's sleep. We have also several buildings that are for recreation for young people. We have an arts and crafts building that can seat about 25 people, and we have a beautiful storage area, and it comes even with a kiln so that we can fire pottery and clay objects, and so it gives us a lot of really wonderful options there. We have a swimming pool and a pool house. The swimming pool is a 30-foot by 80-foot pool. It's really not too deep. It's only 7 feet deep at one end, 3.5 at another. It's great for laps or for kids just having a great time in it, and it's getting lots of use, especially during summer months. Down below the pool house, which is cut back into a hillside, is what we call the canteen, Tommy and Jeff's canteen. These were the contractors who built this. And they modified this building, took all the equipment for the pool and relocated it so this room could be a recreation room until our administration building would be built. And so it serves as a place with pool tables and ping pong tables. It has some area out in front, a little deck with some picnic tables, and then a sports area and basketball court as well. The assembly building is our largest building, and it is able to house up to 200 young people for meals or for activities. Until our chapel is built, that also serves as our chapel, and it has an interior stage area. And then backstage, you actually open onto an outside stage that has a plaza that seats about 350 people. Inside the assembly building, along with the main hall, is a full kitchen that is able to provide meals for as many as 200, more than that actually. And then on the other side, we have a hall space that has an office, a conference room that one day will become a gift shop for the youth center, and then restrooms. Our grounds are really wonderful. We have a pretty complex trail system. Actually, we have literally miles of trails on our property. Those trails have all been inherited from the days of the Franciscans, and they've all been widened and leveled, especially through volunteer help over the years. And now they provide what we call the Manzanita Hill Trail System, as well as other trail systems. And we use those for young people who would like to just take a walk and see nature. We also have science and nature camps, and so they become the feature areas where kids can investigate plants and animals and birds and see all the things that are part of wildlife here. They're all set up wide enough that in the summer months you are able to have good visual clearance to see where you are and to see what's on the trail with you, because you may be sharing it with one of nature's animals.
And they experience nature in a different way. There's a hike up there, and I'm not even sure the name of the hike of the trail, but there's this one trail they go up, and there's wild horses, and whoa, that's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's a big thing with our kids. They always ask, "Are we going to go where the wild horses are?"
And once the trail is complete, when we get to the top, beautiful scenery of waterfalls. It's just a sense of that being with nature and being one with God. It's so faith-filling. It's so peaceful that they feel this, and that you can see it in their faces once they're there. And it's just an awesome thing to see.
What attracted me to be here at Santa Teresita was the opportunity to really, again, engage in the lives of young people, but do it in a way that could be more experiential-based, more expressive-based, more use of the arts, and really a narrative approach, which are all things that I love to do and have done in the past. My own background is really at the heart of youth ministry. I've been involved and ingrained in the lives of young people since 1985. And that's really had me full-time in Catholic ministry for youth since then. I've traveled from San Diego to Santa Monica, where I worked for the homeless, to Boyle Heights or East LA, where I was there working with gang-affected youth, and then fortunate enough to land here in the Central Valley. Educationally, I've always been inspired to learn and to know. Our motto is fostering the spirituality of our young people, and we really took time to sort of reflect on that and who we are and what we want to be and how we want to serve our young people. And so we know that our young people are on their own spiritual journeys, and that spiritual journey is both personal and collective or communal, and so that's important. We know that retreats happen in the middle of that spiritual journey. And so really, if we were to have a theology of retreat work here, it is that we want to provide an opportunity for our young people to express their spirituality, to express who they are in the many different ways that they can. So, for example, it'd be really difficult probably to ask anybody, to ask you or anybody listening in the audience, describe your spirituality. And I'm sure some people can navigate through that. But imagine the young people being asked that question and having to describe their own spirituality. I bet you, though, if we're able to ask them to do it artistically, to ask them to draw it, to act it, to sing it, to give it a different type of a voice, through those different artistic expressions, we are able to get from them their narrative, their story, their spirituality. So that really is at the heart of what we want to do.
From the day that Bishop Ochoa joined us in the Diocese of Fresno, we were anxious to tell him about a great resource that had been built and about the dreams and hopes that we had for its use. He came to visit us and to take a drive around, and he was really happy with what he saw. And his idea was that we would be able to make sure that this would be a resource that was extended to all the young people of our diocese. And he, everywhere he goes, he always speaks about this as a marvelous resource and about ways in which the local communities can take advantage of this source. Most recently, when we blessed the retreat center, he most generously gave $1,000 toward that very purpose and challenged us all to contribute so that there would be funds available so that anybody, any young person who wanted to come and be a part of what goes on here at Camp Santa Teresita would be able to come here regardless of ability to pay. And that's the dream that we share with him. So he has lots of excitement about the possibilities here, and we really feel his support.
I'm here to say, because if we don't have it, I'm going to begin and to challenge out there and some of those people on the wall. I'm going to begin with a $1,000 donation for this particular tuition assistance, for lack of another word, for Santa Teresita youth. Many of our young people are not able financially to come. I've been confirming them up and down our wonderful valley. And they're wonderful young people. To have them have a chance to come up here would be life-changing.
Our society moves so fast. And oftentimes especially our high school and college students, don't have the opportunity to stop. And when you say to them, just stop and take time for yourself and quiet yourself and just be one with God and just listen. And it's amazing, the transformation of the students.
We live such a busy life. You know, kids are involved in sports and other activities outside of youth ministry. So when they're there at the Santa Teresita, their outside world isn't involved. It's just their faith-filled world, and their spiritual world is there with them. And when they bring this back home and they can give that love of God, give that sense of fellowship of why we went there to their families, and hopefully the families can say, okay, that's a great thing. It's a great thing for them. It's a great experience. Tell me more. Tell me more about this. So if they have a great experience up there, what best place to share it, who to share it with is at home, with their families, or with their families here and in the parish as well.
A great retreat will have a lasting impact on our young people. And that could take place in different ways, but I think when we look again at the idea of a retreat that wants to provide an experience, an encounter, and transformation, and sort of a movement from that personal transformation into the community. That's where I see the great impact, in that young people who are having personal experiences are able then to move further into community life, into the life of the faith community, hopefully in leadership roles, hopefully in those types of different roles where they could really start to move with that spirit within them and continue that. What happens a lot is those young people that have great experiences on retreats then go back to their parishes and say, you know what, I want to be a part of that team that puts on the retreats. And so it's a great cycle that returns to the next generation of young people. So.
My hope and my dream is that there will be generations upon generations of young people who come here first, who have a privileged time, and who remember their time at Santa Teresita as an opportunity for an encounter with God, and for something that really changed and gave a contribution to the trajectory of their lives. And that then their children would come here, and that their parents would tell them stories of their memories so that they would look forward to making memories of their own. And to multiply that generation after generation is my dream, so that this becomes a very privileged place for people to grow in their stature, as in their spiritual life and in their human life.
People should, and especially people in our church, should take advantage of this. We've never really had this opportunity where a center's been so state-of-the-art, to be able to use something. Most youth ministry programs don't have a state-of-the-art facility, and so be able to have this and be able to say this is ours and our church built this, that's just an incredible gift.